As the pale fingers of dawn unfurl across the sky, I find myself suspended in a moment that breathes of hushed possibility. My eyelids flutter open, not to the ordinary light of morning but to an inner radiance that seems to pulse within my chest. The world beyond my window remains cloaked in pre-dawn shadow, walls softened by gloom, the courtyard stone cool beneath the faint glow of stars, yet within me a single, crystalline note of invitation resounds: begin. It is neither a voice born of tongue nor a thought shaped by mind, but a resonance deeper than blood, more ancient than breath itself, calling me to awaken. I lie very still, heart beating its curious rhythm, as if listening for the echo of the whisper. The hush around me is profound, not the hush of absence but the hush of ears poised to receive. In this pregnant silence, every breath becomes a covenant between the soul and the unknown. I imagine each inhalation drawing threads of unseen light into my body, weaving through my lungs, down my spine, awakening every dormant cell. And each exhalation, a release of that which clings too tightly, the residue of yesterday's concerns, the brittle weight of expectations, the soft ache of desires not yet realized. So I lie, balancing between two spaces, the life I have lived and the life that waits to be born. At length, the whisper stirs again, a gentle coaxing that trembles at the threshold of consciousness. It is as though a beloved hand, long unseen, has brushed against my heart. Rise, it says. The simplicity of the summoning humbles me. For how often have I risen to greet the dawn, only to find it laden with chores, letters, guests. But this summons is older than routine. It belongs not to the calendar but to the soul's calendar, marking the true beginning of a journey that cannot be charted on any map. Slowly, almost reverently, I slide from the cocoon of blankets. My toes meet the cold earth of the floor, and in that moment, the way stirs. It is not yet a path woven of stone or sunlight, but a subtle vibration beneath my feet, a promise latent in the very ground. I sense the way as a living thing, breathing along with me, waiting for my consent to coalesce into form. My first step is neither hesitant nor bold. It is simply a step born of faith that movement itself will reveal the road. I cross the room, each footfall silent, as if I do not wish to startle the nascent journey. My breath drifts in misty clouds in the cool morning air, and I pause at the open doorway. Beyond the threshold lies the courtyard, its walls still dark, the fig tree's silhouette etched against the sky. I step into this half-world, where night and dawn hover in delicate equipoise. And in that liminal space, the whisper transforms. It is no longer a voice speaking to me, it is the very air around me speaking through me. The breeze carries a faint scent of jasmine in earth, a fragrance that seems older than memory, and I understand, the way is not a distant road but the breath of life itself. I walk forward, and with each footfall, something mysterious unfolds. The courtyard's dusty ground, blank and unmarked a moment before, now bears the outline of a narrow path, a thread of smooth pebbles glinting in the first pale light. It is as though the earth remembers my coming and arranges itself in welcome. I follow the ribbon of pebbles, marveling at their iridescence, flecks of moonstone, quartz, mother of pearl embedded in the dust. Each pebble seems to hum with its own quiet song, inviting me to listen, to remember that every fragment of existence carries a voice if one knows how to hear. My heart quickens, not with haste but with recognition. I have set out before, on quests of ink and word, on voyages across continents of the heart, but never quite like this. Here, the journey is born not of destination but of the simple act of walking. It is an invitation to co-create the way with each step, to become both pilgrim and pathmaker. The pebbled ribbon leads me to an old stone bench beneath the fig tree. I sit, my robes rustling in the breeze, and gaze upward as the sky shifts from star-black to bruised violet, then to tender rose and gold. In that silent vigil, the whisper returns, now a chorus of gentle urgings: attend, observe, yield. I close my eyes and feel the pulse of dawn beneath my palms. The bark of the fig tree is cool and knotted, its grooves like the lines of an ancient hand. I lay my cheek against the rough surface, and the world behind my eyelids blooms with light. I see roads I have not yet walked, faces I have not yet met, moments of beauty and sorrow I have not yet tasted. All of it awaits, but first I must trust this small beginning, that a single step, taken in humble openness, conjures the way from the substance of possibility. The sky illumines fully, and I rise again, carrying in my chest the echo of the whisper and the memory of the bench's embrace. I sense now that the way is both within and without, a corridor of light between earth and sky, a congregation of moments that await my willing passage. My sandals, once motionless, now strap easily to my feet, as if eager to carry me forth. I glance back at the courtyard, at the bench where dawn revealed herself, and offer a quiet bow of gratitude to the earth, to the unseen hand that beckoned, to the longing that stirs in every heart. Then I step forward into the waking world. The ribbon of pebbles gleams invitingly, arcing beyond walls and trees, dissolving into lanes unknown. With each step, the way appears, softly, insistently, revealing new facets of beauty in stones, in sky, in the beat of my own heart. And as I walk, I murmur the only prayer I know: may I never cease to begin. May each step call forth the promise that shines just beyond the horizon of the present. May the journey itself be my home. May I learn, above all, to trust the whisper that says, begin. As I lift my foot for that first descent, the world trembles with expectancy. The air around me, once shapeless and inert, suddenly quivers, as though inhaling in unison with soul. I press my sandal to the earth, soft dust yielding beneath my weight, and feel a subtle shift. The ground parts like a curtain drawn aside, unveiling a slender ribbon of pathway. It stretches before me, glistening faintly in the gentle glow of morning, each pebble catching the light as though polished by unseen hands. In that exquisitely hushed moment, I know, to step is to summon the way, and the way answers each summons with a humble gift. My heart surges with wonder. How extraordinary that such a simple act, pressing toe to soil, could coax the hidden road into being. I pause, breath caught between awe and delight, and watch as the pebbled ribbon extends, curving in a gentle arc. The stones are infinitely varied, some pale as moonbeams, others warm with the color of sunset. Each fractal sparkle carries its own quiet song, a note in a melody too subtle for the ear yet resonant within the marrow of my bones. I bend to touch one, cool, smooth, and alive, an ancient witness to countless journeys. In that instant, it seems to hum beneath my fingertips, greeting me as if I were a long-lost companion. I stand slowly, letting my senses bloom outward. The courtyard around me, which moments before lay shadowed and still, now breathes with possibility. Walls etched by time glow softly, their cracks dark channels where light pools like liquid silver. A single cypress lifts its dark silhouette against the pale sky, and beyond, distant hills rise in gentle undulation. Every detail, each ripple in the dust, every curling leaf, thrums with charged vitality. I realize then that stepping has not merely revealed a path but awakened the world itself to my presence. Yet even as I marvel, a flicker of hesitation dances at the edge of my awareness. What if this way is but a trick of longing, an illusion spun by hope? What if each stone is borrowed light that will vanish at the next breath? But before doubt can seize me, the ribbon of pebbles reaches beneath my sandals, guiding my toes toward a second step. I follow, and with each movement, the path solidifies. Here, a cluster of lapis blue fragments. There, stones clouded like morning mist. The arrangement shifts subtly in response to my weight, as though the earth itself rejoices in our dance, rearranging its garments to suit my passage. My breath deepens, drawing in the fragrance of dew and elderflower. The world opens further, revealing the narrow lane that awaits beyond the courtyard wall. I pass through an arched gateway, its stones warm from the sun's first touch, and find myself on the threshold of promise. The path before me stretches into a gentle valley, ribbons of mist rising from low-lying blossoms. Petals white as swan's feathers drift at the edge of the trail, as if summoned by the same enchantment that drew forth the stones. A soft breeze stirs them into a slow, swirling dance, an escort for my footsteps. I step onto the sun-dappled lane, and each footfall births new patterns. Here, bright stones form a spiral, there, a straight line of dark obsidian. I sense that the way is not indifferent to my thoughts. It mirrors the stirrings of my heart. When my mind quiets, seeking only the steady rhythm of walking, the path stretches in serene simplicity. When a stray thought of fear, of misstep or mistake, rises, the stones shift to jagged, uneven formations, challenging me to trust that every crooked turn contains its own invitation to learn. I discover that the path desires my presence as much as I yearn for its guidance, co-creating with each step, weaving together trust and uncertainty into a tapestry of experience. As I walk, memories drift through my mind, childhood footsteps chasing river currents, pilgrimages traced by holy feet, journeys of ink across parchment maps. All these travels shimmer in the marrow of my being, converging now in this nascent moment. I recall the exhilaration of that first stride beyond familiar walls, the sting of tears shed when paths ended in loss, the fierce joy of arriving at thresholds I never dreamed to cross. And I see, with sudden clarity, that each of those roads was only a fragment of a greater mosaic. This newly awakened way, born from a single step, encompasses them all, stitching together my past wanderings into an unbroken continuum. A soft laughter rises within me, an echo of delight that surprises even my own heart. For the way is as alive as any creature, and in this shared act of creation, I feel kinship with the dust and stones, the air and sky. I feel the way's pulse, the breath of the universe, humming in resonance with my own. There is no longer traveler and path, only the sacred choreography of being in motion. With each step, I surrender fragments of doubt and gather shards of wonder, weaving them into the fabric of now. The ribbon of stones leads me past blossoming almond trees, their boughs heavy with ivory petals. As I pass, the blossoms stir, drifting down around me like gentle rain. I lift my hands and catch a few, their softness as delicate as a sigh. I place them upon the path, offering these fleeting blooms in gratitude. In return, the way shifts the stones into shapes that quicken my breath, a spiral that mirrors the universe's turning, a branching fork that invites choice without judgment. I understand then that this landscape is an echo of my own inner terrain, every obstacle, every moment of grace reflected in stone and earth. Soon the valley narrows, the path ascending a gentle slope. I feel a tug of anticipation, as if climbing toward revelation. My sandals press firmly against the stones, each pebble lending traction as I rise. The scent of thyme and rosemary drifts from the rocky banks, anchoring me in the moment. I pause to lay a hand upon the sun-warmed earth, giving thanks for its steadfast support. The heat beneath my palm is a pulse, a living heartbeat of the way itself, reminding me that this journey is sustained by the ancient covenant between traveler and ground. At the crest of the slope, the trail opens onto a plateau, where the world unfurls in panorama. Dawn's golden fingers reach across fields quilted with wildflowers, pinks, purples, and golds dancing in the breeze. A silver stream glints below, weaving through the meadow like a serpentine ribbon. And there, at the center of this waking world, I see a solitary stone pedestal, smooth and oval, as though carved by time's gentle hand. Its surface reflects the sky above, capturing the blush of dawn like a pool of light. I approach and kneel, placing both hands upon the pedestal. The stone is warm, and I sense beneath its surface a tremor of welcome. I whisper my gratitude, not in words but in the language of the heart, offering the echo of my first 2 steps. And in that silent exchange, the pedestal glows with inner light, sending ripples of illumination across the plateau. A soft melody, like distant bells, fills the air, and I know that the way acknowledges my passage. I rise, heart full, and turn once more to the path that has carried me thus far. With renewed wonder, I step forward, each footfall a testament to the alchemy of beginning. The way stretches on, stones gleaming with promise, guiding me toward horizons uncharted. My spirit swells with the clarity that each step contains its own genesis, that to walk is to create, and to wander is to awaken. And as I follow the pebbled ribbon into the unfolding day, I carry within me the echo of that first footfall, a sacred threshold where earth and soul entwined, where movement summoned the way, and where the journey, in its infinite grace, revealed its first blessing. I feel the weight of dawn's afterglow still lingering on the horizon as I step forward, my heart both buoyant and wary. A soft breeze stirs the air, carrying the scent of time and distant pines, and with it arrives an unexpected presence, the companion of doubt. He stands at my side, shadowed yet unmistakable, tall, gaunt, eyes glinting with restless questions. In his hand he bears a lantern, its flame flickering uncertainly, casting quivering light on the path we share. He greets me not with words but with a silent gaze that asks, "Whither do you tread, madman?" I pause, inhaling the cool air, and turn to face him. His form is at once familiar and strange, as though he were molded from the same clay as my own insecurities. His voice, when it speaks, bears the texture of wind through empty corridors. What if this path leads only to ruin, O dreamer? Who are you to trust the stones beneath your feet when they vanish as soon as you remove your weight? His questions are a chorus of all the hesitations I have ever harbored, fear of failure, dread of ridicule, the ache of past missteps. I sense his invitation to abandon the shimmering ribbon of pebbles and retreat into the safety of known ground. Yet even as his words ripple through my mind, the way responds. Beneath my sandals the stones pulse with quiet light, rearranging themselves into two distinct branches before us, one bathed in warm sunlight, strewn with glossy white pebbles, the other cloaked in shadow, its stones dark and jagged, glimmering like onyx under moonlight. The sunlight branch tempts me with promise of ease, the absence of obstacles, the mirage of perfection. The shadowed path cautions me with its jaggedness, the potential for missteps, the intimate company of uncertainty. My companion of doubt smirks and gestures toward the dark stones. Choose wisely. The bright way is for fools, the shadowed way is for the wise, who know that pain refines. His words sting with truth and yet sting with temptation. I glance at the radiant branch, where each pebble seems to whisper of effortless progress, of accolades won without struggle. My heart flutters at the thought of walking there, of feeling the soft warmth of adulation. But I recall that the way does not promise comfort, it promises growth. I inhale, centering my awareness on the convergence of paths beneath me. The companion shifts, lantern swaying, and asks again, "Which will you choose?" How can you trust a path that springs to life only because you walk it? What if it leads you astray? His challenge is fierce, and I feel the old tremors of uncertainty echoing in my veins. Yet rather than shrink from his gaze, I extend my own. "You are welcome, my doubt," I murmur inwardly. "Walk with me if you must, but you will not decide my course." With that, I take a step, not toward sunlight, not toward shadow, but into the slender space between the two branches. The cool air of dawn envelopes me as the pebbles beneath my feet shift again, blending light and dark in a delicate mosaic. Each stone is half illuminated, half in shade, as though mirroring the balance within me. The companion's lantern flickers, uncertain, and he inclines his head, silently acknowledging that I have chosen neither comfort nor fear, but held both in the palm of my stride. As I continue, the path morphs into patterns of crosshatch and swirl, intertwined motifs that celebrate duality. I realize that by refusing to collapse into either extreme, I have invited the way to reveal a deeper truth, that life's richest terrain is found not in absolutes, but in the spaces between. The pebbles become prisms, splitting the dawn's light into rainbows of possibility. I feel the pulse of creation beneath my feet, a living dance of shadow and luminescence. My companion, now moving in tandem with me, lowers his lantern. He neither mocks nor encourages, he simply walks, a reminder that doubt is a companion on every journey. At times, his quiet presence stirs a question in my heart. Are you certain? And I answer by feeling the stone's warm radiance and cool shade beneath each footfall, confirming my choice anew. In this shared silence, I understand that doubt is not the enemy of faith, but its mirror. By acknowledging our questions, we deepen our conviction. With each step, the world around us transforms. The morning mists that once curled around distant pines now drift through our midst, weaving between pebbles and ankles, urging us to see with open hearts. The sky overhead shifts from rose-tinted promise to brilliant blue certainty, and yet the path remains a tapestry of light and dark. Here and there, tiny flowers, white daisies and purple lavender, bloom between stones, as if born from the very act of embracing both sides. I bend to inhale their scent, a heady blend of sweetness and spice, and I feel gratitude for the companion who would have steered me toward one extreme or the other had I not welcomed his challenge and walked my own line. After a time, the path leads us to a gentle rise, where the twin branches converge completely into a single way glistening with balanced hues. The companion stands at the crest, his lantern now dark, and looks upon the horizon. In the distance, I see rolling hills awash in golden light, valleys draped in soft shadow, and above all, a sky vast enough to hold both sun and moon. I realize that by neither fleeing doubt nor succumbing to it, I have walked a road forged by both questions and answers. I offer my companion a bow of respect, for in his presence I found clarity rather than distraction. He inclines his own head once, then fades back into the soft folds of morning mist, leaving me with the lantern unlit but carried as a testament to the questions that guide me. I step forward onto the unified path, each footfall steady with the certainty born of choice. The way ahead winds into unknown lands, but I am unafraid, for I have learned that the noblest pilgrimage is one in which doubt and conviction walk hand in hand, each revealing the other's light. As the sun reaches its zenith, the world around me hums with heat so intense it seems to pulse in the air itself. Each breath I draw tastes of dust and longing, and my throat aches with a thirst that feels as though it might crack me open from within. My robes cling to my skin, damp with perspiration, and I can feel the weight of the day pressing upon me, not as a burden but as a summons, calling me deeper into the heart of the way. In every fiber of my being, I sense an urgency, to keep walking, even when the next step feels impossibly heavy, to trust that sustenance awaits, though my body rebels in its dryness, to remember that need is itself a guide, summoning blessings from hidden wells. Each footfall raises a tiny cloud of dust, and I pause to let it settle, closing my eyes against its sting. The sunlight glitters across each particle, turning air into a constellation of shimmering motes. In that suspended moment, I recall the morning's ease, the cool dawn, the gentle pebbled ribbon that first welcomed me. How far I have come in these few hours, and yet how much farther stretches before me. My pulse pounds with exertion, and I feel my chest tighten, as if the way itself tests my resolve. I inhale again, slower this time, willing the world to still around me so that I may hear the whisper beneath the roar of my own need. It comes to me unexpectedly, as if carried on a breeze too subtle to notice, a faint, almost musical hum rising from the ground. I kneel on the heated stones, pressing my palm flat against their surface. Beneath my skin, I feel a distant pulse, an echo of the same life that beats within me. The stones beneath my hand vibrate softly, a low song of promise. I dare to listen more deeply, tuning my soul to the rhythm, until the melody becomes clear, each note a pledge that water will rise, that life will not abandon its children even in the furnace of noonday. Rising again, I follow that hum, not by sight but by faith, my feet guided more by desire than by vision. The land around me ripples with heat mirages, wavering outlines of palm groves, oases shimmering in a distant haze, faces turned expectantly toward me. I know these shapes are illusions, products of my parched imagination, but I also know that where need is greatest, the way answers. So I press on, each step heavier than the last, carrying my hope like a fragile bird in my chest. The melody grows louder, more insistent, until it seems to fill the very sky. I lift my face and let the sun's glare burn into my eyes, trusting the song to guide me. Beads of sweat trickle down my temples and neck, pooling at the base of my collarbone. My tongue feels glued to the roof of my mouth, and I taste only dust. Yet still I walk, each footfall a prayer for release from this fever of thirst. At times, I stop and cup my hands, hoping against hope that dew has settled in their hollows, but each time, I open them to find only grit and disappointment. Between steps, I recall the moments of gift along this way, the morning's first whisper, the unfolding path beneath my feet, the balancing of light and shadow. Now, in this harshest trial, I understand that the way's gifts are not always soft or sweet. Sometimes they demand our suffering, drawing from us the deepest longings so that we might be shaped and refined. I accept this truth without bitterness, for I have tasted the spring of inner peace and know that beyond this trial lies another awakening. I lift my gaze to the horizon, scanning for any sign of relief. The earth stretches flat and unbroken. Heat rises in waves that blur the boundary between ground and sky. And yet, at the very edge of distance, the melody guides me toward a faint shift in color, an emerald gleam against the tawny sands. My heart leaps, and I quicken my pace, stumbling over stones until the path dips into a gentle hollow. There, half hidden by a cluster of silver-leafed shrubs, lies a spring, a pool of water so clear that it mirrors the sky above, as though holding a fragment of heaven itself. My knees give way, and I drop to the ground, reaching for the water as though my life depends on it, which, in truth, it does. My hands plunge into the cool depths, and I gather volumes of liquid, pressing them to my lips. The first sip is an explosion of relief, liquid silk sliding down my throat, washing away the grit and flame that have tormented me. I drink deeply, my body sighing in gratitude as each gulp restores me. The water tastes of mountain streams and rain-washed earth, of life's unbroken promise. I close my eyes and let it flow freely, drinking until my chest no longer aches and my mind quiets into a luminous calm. When at last I lift my head, the world seems reborn. The sky's heat remains, but it no longer presses upon me. Instead, it warms like a gentle benediction. I stand by the spring and cup more water, pouring it over my wrists and face, letting the coolness wash away the residue of suffering. The stones beneath my feet hum still, but now their song is softer, a lullaby of contentment. I bend to peer into the water's mirror and see my reflection clear and luminous, eyes bright with the taste of victory over thirst. In that reflection, I recognize the true gift of this trial, not merely the water itself, but the awakening of trust. To walk without knowing if relief would come, and yet to continue, this is faith refined. The spring before me is a testament that the way cares for every need, that provision arises exactly when the need is greatest. I cup a final handful of water and drink, feeling the warmth of life return in full measure. Rising, I leave the hollow and step onto the path once more, sandals pressing into pebbles that gleam like fragments of stars. The song of thirst lingers, a gentle reminder of the trial I have overcome. With each step, I carry the spring within me, a living fountain of trust that will sustain me when other trials come. And as I walk, the world greets me anew, every breeze, every stone, every breath a part of the melody that guides me ever onward on the way. As I awaken before the pale light of dawn, I find myself standing at the edge of a still pool, its surface smooth as polished glass. The world around me is hushed, as though holding breath, waiting for the first ripple. My heart stirs with a longing I cannot name, a yearning so deep that it seems to pulse through every vein in my body. I approach the water's edge, bare feet whispering against cold stone, and peer into the mirrored depths. There, I see a reflection not only of my face but of my soul, eyes wide, lips parted in silent invitation, and behind them the shadow of a question that has haunted me since time began. I lean closer, and the glassy surface trembles at the touch of my gaze, as though beckoning me to discover what lies beneath. In that trembling mirror I behold 1,000 versions of myself, the child who chased fireflies across moonlit fields, the scholar hunched over ink-stained pages, the wanderer who crossed mountains and deserts in search of meaning. Each reflection fades in and out like clouds drifting across a summer sky, and in their passing I sense the currents of desire that have guided my every footfall. I realize then that the way has never been solely a road beneath my sandals, but a river coursing through my heart, fed by streams of longing that emerge in every breath. To walk this path is to acknowledge those currents, to let them carry me toward truths I have only glimpsed in dreams. I sit at the water's edge and dip my fingertips into the pool. The cold kisses of the stream send shivers up my arm, and ripples dance outward, distorting my reflection into shifting mosaics of light and shadow. In that shifting, I perceive more clearly the nature of my longing, It is not a lack to be assuaged but a force of creation, an impulse that shapes each moment of my journey. Just as the pool reshapes the sky's reflection with every movement, so does my yearning sculpt the contours of my path, revealing new facets of wonder and pain. I close my eyes and let the ripples flow through me, recalling every moment when longing called me forth. I remember the heat of midday in distant lands, when thirst infused every thought, urging me onward until a hidden spring gushed forth at my feet. I recall the tremor of fear on lonely nights, when shadows pressed close, and I learned that solitude can be both companion and crucible. Each memory shines in the pool of remembrance, and I feel gratitude for those trials, for they tempered my longing into something strong and supple. When I open my eyes, the sun has risen higher, casting beams that pierce through overhanging boughs and dance upon the water's surface. I watch as motes of light drift like seeds on the breeze, settling upon ripples and transforming them into glittering paths. I dip both hands into the pool and lift a cloak of water above my head, letting it cascade down in a veil of sparkling droplets. The cool liquid traces lines across my cheeks, and I laugh at the sensation, the wild joy of renewal that springs when longing and fulfillment meet in sacred union. Rising, I step back from the pool and settle upon a flat stone beside it. My robe falls in gentle folds, and I feel the vertical weight of my longing settle into a calm readiness. Before me lies the path I have trodden, winding away beneath leafy canopies and over sunlit clearings. Each bend of the trail holds a whisper of desire yet to be fulfilled, a village where stories await my ears, a mountaintop where skies stretch into infinity, a gathering of souls whose faces I cannot yet discern. I sense that beyond these stones, the river of my longing will guide me, carving canyons of insight and smoothing edges of fear. I close my eyes once more, inhaling the perfume of wild jasmine that drifts from unseen blossoms. Inhale. Exhale. I feel my heart expand, each beat an echo of the pool's rippling surface. I recall words I once penned, the heart's deep thirst is the compass of the soul. Now, in this moment, I understand that without longing, the journey loses its purpose. It is longing that turns steps into pilgrimage, that coaxes stones into roads, that calls forth the way itself. I bow my head, offering homage to this force that both drives me onward and roots me in the present. When I rise again, the pool's mirror still reflects my face, but with a new clarity. No longer do I see only desire, I see the path of its fulfillment etched in the gentle lanes of my countenance. I step forward, sandals finding purchase on mossy stones, and with each footfall a new ripple shimmers through the air, an invitation to deeper discovery. The pool's edge falls away behind me, and I feel the river of longing flow beneath my feet, guiding me toward horizons I have yet to name. As I walk, the air exhales the scent of pine and cedar, and I know that every longing is a seed planted in the earth of the soul, destined to blossom in its proper season. I carry within me the memory of the pool's stillness and the tremor that born of my touch, an indelible mark that reminds me, to long is to live, to seek is to grow, to listen is to become the way's own echo. And so I follow the path, heart open, steps unhesitant, drawing ever onward into the unfolding tapestry of longing made manifest. As I press onward, the path narrows beneath a canopy of brambles and twisting vines, each thorn branch reaching out as though to test the mettle of my resolve. My robes brush against ling green, and I pause to lift my hand, feeling the sharp bite of a thorn against my palm. In that moment, I realize that obstacles are not enemies to be vanquished but invitations to shape my journey. I take a breath, steadying myself, and bend close to the earth, placing my palm against a mossy rock beside the trail. The rough surface grounds me. Its steady presence reminds me that hardship is as much a gift as ease, for through resistance the soul earns strength. I rise and step forward into the tangle. The stones underfoot become irregular, slippery roots weaving across the trail like serpents, fallen branches strewn like hurdles. Each footfall demands attention, to lift, to step, to leap where required. My heart pounds not with fear but with exhilaration, for every challenge met becomes part of the path itself. When I stumble on a hidden route, the way rearranges the stones so that a safer foothold emerges, as though the earth itself bears witness to my perseverance and conspires to keep my journey alive. A gentle rain begins to fall, its droplets catching the late afternoon light in tiny prisms. The brambles gleam with moisture, their thorns dripping silver. Where once the barrier seemed impassable, now a narrow corridor has opened, guideposts of smooth bark marking a route through the tangle. I follow it, stepping carefully, trusting that each obstacle I overcome reveals the next turning of the way. Between the thorns I glimpse unexpected blossoms, pale white flowers with petals shaped like tiny wings, reminders that beauty can hide within hardship, that the very barriers we dread can become spaces of surprise and grace. As I continue, the vines part to reveal a small alcove carved into a hillside. Within, the roots of an ancient oak arch overhead like ribs, forming a vaulted chamber of living wood. The air inside is cool and fragrant with the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. I settle against the oak's great trunk, running my fingers over its furrowed bark. Here, in the shelter of resistance transformed, I feel the way's lesson deepen, that when we embrace obstacles rather than avoid them, we discover hidden sanctuaries within our own struggle. I press my back against the oak and close my eyes, feeling the rhythm of my breath echoing the tree's silent pulse. In this quiet communion, I recall moments when life's tangles, loss, regret, fear, seemed to snare me in hopeless knots. Yet in each, I found, within the struggle, a seed of insight, patience born of pain, compassion born of sorrow, humility born of folly. Now, leaning against the living wood, I feel those lessons converge, strengthening me for what lies ahead. Rising once more, I step from the oak's embrace into a clearing where the vines have been felled, their branches hewn away to form a rough staircase rising through the slope. Each step is uneven, carved by unseen hands, the risers of stone and earth polished by time and countless travelers. I ascend carefully, hands brushing the walls of ferns and maidenhair moss that cling to the hillside, their fronds soft beneath my fingertips. Upward, I climb, the air growing cooler, the light taking on a silvery hue as it filters through ever nearer pines. At the top of the stair, the forest gives way to a narrow ridge that falls steeply on either side. A mist clings to the gorge below, and above, the sky is vast and clear. I step onto the narrow path that winds along the ridge's spine, balancing each foot intentionally, heart steady. Behind me stretch the tangled woods I have passed, ahead, open vistas of rolling hills and distant peaks. In this tightrope moment, I understand that obstacles sharpen our focus, condense our attention to the essentials, and prepare us for both peril and promise. A sudden gust of wind sweeps across the ridge, testing my equilibrium. I spread my arms and steady myself, letting the wind's power flow through me rather than against me. In that instant, I feel my spirit expand to match the sky's breadth, my fears dissolving in the gust. The path ahead is narrow, but I am neither hurried nor afraid. Each footfall is deliberate, each breath a vow to remain present, for the way demands both courage and mindfulness when the stakes are high. The ridge trail bends, descending toward a hidden valley where the mist parts to reveal a tranquil pool ringed with stones. The water's surface is mirror smooth, unmarred by wind or stone, inviting reflection. I move down the slope until I stand at the pool's bank, the lichen-covered stones cool beneath my feet. I kneel and touch the water, sending ripples that reach out to kiss the edges of the valley. As I peer into its depths, I see not only my reflection but traces of the path behind me, tangled roots, steep risers, sharp stones. And I understand that each of these obstacles has been woven into the tapestry of my journey, each necessary to bring me to this moment of peace. I settle on a flat stone at the water's edge, allowing myself to rest. The way has taught me that obstacles are not detours to be avoided but essential turns in the pilgrimage, each thorn, each root, each steep incline a hidden lesson in endurance, trust, and grace. As I sit, the pool before me becomes a second oracle, revealing that the path onward will continue to test me, but that I carry within me the resilience to meet whatever arises. I lift my gaze to the ridge I have traversed, smile in quiet gratitude, and rise, ready once more to walk into the fullness of the way. As night falls, the world softens into a hushed reverie. The last threads of daylight slip behind distant hills, and the air cools so gently it feels like a mother's hand upon skin. I find myself alone beneath a vault of stars so vast it humbles every thought of self. No companion's voice interrupts the whisper of wind through the oleanders, no footfall disturbs the hush that settles over the path like a velvet cloak. In this solitude, I sense both the frailty and the fierce strength of being alone on the way. Each breath draws in the quietude, each exhalation releases the echoes of daylight's clamor. I raise my gaze to the constellations overhead. Orion stands sentinel, his belt a trio of shining gems. The plow traces its familiar arc, guiding me as it has guided wanderers for 1,000 nights. Yet these stars are not distant nor unfeeling, they pulse with the same longing that stirs within me. I feel the way enfolding me in its indigo cloak, teaching that solitude is not absence but presence in its deepest form. To walk alone is to encounter oneself unshielded, every thought laid bare, every heartbeat heard. I tread slowly along the moonlit trail, sandals whispering against pale stones. The path curves beneath the arms of ancient cypresses whose silhouettes sway in quiet rhythm. Their long needles drift down like silver rain, landing softly upon my shoulders, my brow, and I pause to let them fall, surrendering to the knowledge that in solitude I am known intimately by every element of this night. The hush is so profound that I can hear the beating of my own heart, the soft susurration of blood through veins, and I greet each sound as an old friend returned. Ahead, lanterns hung on low-hanging branches glow with lantern flame of fireflies. Dozens of tiny lights flicker in the dark, weaving between leaves as they dance. I crouch beside one to watch its incandescent flight, marveling at its singular brilliance, a star born not in the heavens but right here, in the embrace of night. In that glow I see the map of my solitude, a solitary spark that shines all the brighter for the darkness around it. I feel kinship with these small creatures, each bearing its light earnestly, undeterred by the vast night. I whisper a soft blessing for their courage, and they answer with a constellation of flickers that guide my steps forward. A gentle breeze stirs the air, carrying the scent of jasmine and damp earth. I close my eyes and breathe deeply, letting the perfume fill every corner of my being. In this moment, I understand that solitude is a perfume distilled from silence and openness. It allows the spirit's fragrance to rise unmasked, unmingled with the necessity of words or deeds. I stand still, arms outstretched, as if to embrace the entire night, and feel the waves pulse thrumming through every leaf and star. Continuing on, I come upon a meadow awash in pale moonlight. The grasses sway like waves on a silver sea, and I walk into their undulating folds, each blade whispering secrets of the night. Somewhere nearby, an owl calls, its hoot echoing across the hollow, a solitary song that both stirs and soothes the soul. I answer in kind, lifting my voice in a soft recitation of verses I have carried within, poems of longing, surrender, and the sweetness of silence. My words drift into the night air, mingling with owl song and starlight, and I feel them taken up by the way, carried onward beyond the next horizon. In the center of the meadow stands a smooth, flat stone warmed by the day's sun and now cool beneath my touch. I sit and draw my knees close, cradling them as though holding a newborn hope. The sky arcing above me is deeper than any ocean and studded with sparks that shimmer like memories of first love. I let my thoughts drift freely, unbound by the necessity of answer or action. In the quiet cradle of solitude, I meet the deepest corners of my heart, its fears, its hopes, the hidden chambers where longing sleeps and deathless dreams stir. I recall the faces I have loved, friends whose laughter once rang like bells through my days, lovers whose farewells carved canyons in my chest, strangers whose brief kindnesses lit flames of gratitude. In solitude, I revisit each, not to cling to memory's ache, but to honor the gift each presence gave. I offer silent thanks for their passing through my life, knowing that every encounter, however fleeting, shapes the soul's mosaic. The night sky listens, its vastness whispering back that every departure is also an arrival, that solitude is the womb from which new presence will one day be born. Rising at length, I continue along the path now softened to a pale ribbon under starlight. The fireflies lead me onward until the trees open onto a gentle hillside. There, a single bench carved from living wood awaits. I sit and lean back, letting the grain press into my spine, and close my eyes once more. The hush deepens, and within me, I find a wellspring of calm that rises to greet the quiet. I sense the whisper of the way beside me, a companion without voice, reminding me that in solitude I am never truly alone, but held in the embrace of all that is. Time drifts away. The hours cast no shadows here, only the slow turning of the sky and the steady pulse of my breath mark the passing moments. I sit until dawn's first glow tints the eastern sky, until the hush yields to birdsong and the promise of a new day. Then I stand, gathering my cloak against the chill, and offer a silent bow to the bench, to the meadow, to the night itself. In that gesture resides gratitude for the gift of solitude, the mirror in which the soul beholds its reflection, the cradle in which the spirit is born anew. As I move forward into dawn's gentle light, I carry the song of this night within me, a melody of stillness and inner awakening. The way continues to unfold with each step, but I know now that its deepest path lies within the quiet of the heart, where the soul, in its aloneness, becomes the way's truest companion. As the sky darkens and the horizon blurs into iron-gray tumult, I sense the first hint of the storm's approach long before the wind shudders through the trees. A low rumblers the air, as though the world itself exhaling a warning. I press forward, robes billowing, sandals scraping the stones, each step both defiance and invitation. The path ahead, once clear and sunlit, now dissolves under shifting shadows. Gnarled branches quiver like skeletal fingers, and clouds scuttle overhead in ragged swarms. The first raindrop lands on my cheek like a cold kiss, and I raise my face, welcoming its stinging promise. A sudden gust tears at the valley, and I clutch my cloak, bracing against the gale. The wind roars in my ears, a wild chorus urging me to turn back, to seek refuge where comfort awaits. But my heart burns with a fiercer flame. I know that to yield now is to betray the forge of trial in which my spirit must be tempered. A jagged bolt of lightning splits the sky, illuminating the landscape in stark white, trees bowed, grasses flattened, distant hills vanishing behind sheets of driving rain. In that flash, I glimpse the slender ribbon of the way, barely visible beneath the torrent, and I step forward, each footfall an act of faith against the storm's fury. Water lashes at my face, my robes cling like wet skin, and thunder shakes the earth beneath me. The path twists sharply, plunging downward into a narrow gully where stones slick with mud threaten to send me sprawling at every stride. I inhale, drawing the storm into my lungs, tasting the wild electricity that crackles between heaven and earth. With each exhale, I summon my resolve, reminding myself that the way does not abandon the traveler who dares its trial but carves a sheltered channel even in strife. I lower my center of gravity and press my palms against the hillside's muddy wall for balance. Roots, slick and writhing, snake through the soil like living cables. I trace them with steady fingers, learning their patterns, using their grip to pull myself onward. The rain intensifies, drumming on leaf and rock, drowning all sound but the pounding in my own chest. Still, I listen for the subtle shift beneath my feet, a depression forming a narrow arc, a natural canopy of overhanging boughs guiding me through the gully. The way, I sense, is sculpting itself around the storm's fury, offering a hidden vault for the steps of the determined. Deeper into the gully I descend, the sky above now a churning sea of slate. My robes, once brilliant in sunlight, have turned to a muddied tapestry, yet I press on, each stitch of fabric a testament to my vow. The wind howls at the gully's mouth, but here it is stilled, diverted by cliffs of stone that cradle me. Water cascades from fissures in the rock, forming rivulets that merge into a rushing stream at my feet. I cross it carefully, testing each stone's purchase before committing my weight. The water is icy, a flash of sharp clarity against the storm's rage, and I let its chill invigorate me, each droplet awakening nerves dulled by cold and fear. Emerging from the gully, I find myself on a ledge hewn into the hillside, barely broad enough for 1 foot before a precipice yawns below. Lightning fractures the darkness in erratic strokes, revealing the sheer drop, rocks jagged as shattered glass tumbling into depths I cannot see. My heart leaps, but not with terror. The way has led me here, trusting my steps. I extend an arm and feel the rough stone under my fingers, its solidity anchoring me to the earth. I move deliberately, toe by toe, the tremor of fear transmuting into steady concentration. Each breath is measured, each heartbeat a drum of courage. Above, the storm's fury crescendos, and I sense the way's final test, to walk this narrow spine without falter until shelter awaits. I close my eyes for a heartbeat, summoning memories of dawn's calm, of the bench beneath the fig tree, of the whisper that called me forth. In that still point, I find unity, between breath and stone, between self and path. Opening my eyes, I step forward, trusting that each footfall will be borne by a hidden hand guiding me through peril. Halfway along the ledge, the wind shifts, catching me broadside. My arms flail as I strive for balance, but in that moment of disarray, a voice rises within me, not of doubt, but of unwavering intent, onward. I plant my heel firmly, center myself, and press on. The precipice falls silent at my side, as though granting me passage. Lightning strikes again, closer now, illuminating the final stretch, a natural arch of stone bridging to a sheltered recess ahead. Gathering every ounce of resolve, I quicken my pace, crossing the arch in a single breath. The cliff walls converge overhead, and rain no longer falls upon me. The gully's roar recedes into distant thunder. Before me stands a door carved into granite, its surface smoothed by time and crowned with the storm's shedding, glittering droplets that rain down like blessings. I lay a hand on the stone, feeling its cool strength, and push. The door swings inward on silent hinges, revealing a cavern lit by phosphorescent lichen, its walls etched with patterns of winding paths and dancing lights. Stepping inside, I let the door close behind me. The air within is still, sacred, and I bow my head in reverence. The storm's trial lies now behind a veil of stone, its lessons recorded in the mud on my robes and the fire in my heart. In this hushed sanctuary, I shed the weight of fear and cold, offering it to the lichen-lit walls. The way has guided me through darkness and danger, teaching that even the fiercest storm yields a passage to those who walk with steadfast courage. I stand in the quiet glow of the cavern, rainwater dripping in rhythm, a gentle echo of thunder's fury transformed into a lullaby. In that moment, I understand, shadows and storms are not enemies of the soul's journey but its midwives, birthing deeper strength and unwavering faith. And as I rest upon the cool stone floor, heart still racing with storm's memory, I whisper my gratitude to the way that bends even the fiercest wind to shape the traveler who dares to walk its hidden trials. I stand before the unadorned wooden door, its grain warm beneath my palm, the scent of aged cedar rising like a living memory. The hinges are hidden, the frame seamless, as though portal was born from the very wood itself and planted here by unseen hands. My heart pounds, a drumbeat of anticipation. Beyond this threshold lies whatever destiny this way has prepared for me, yet I do not know what I will find. With a breath drawn deep from the wellspring of my being, I press forward and push. The door swings inward on silent pivots, revealing a chamber bathed in soft, golden light. I step through and pause, breathless. The room is empty, its walls smooth and unscarred, dyed the color of dawn. No altar stands to greet me, no pedestal cradles a treasure. Instead, I see an open space, its floor a simple expanse of pale stone, and light dancing across it in gentle patterns, as though the very air had been stitched with threads of sunrise. My first impulse is confusion. Surely a reward awaits the pilgrim who has walked so far, braved so much. But as silence settles around me, I feel instead an invitation to bring what I carry within. I drop my pack and unsling my satchel of provisions, as if offering them to the void. But the chamber remains unchanged, a neutral mirror for my own heart. I realize then that this room cradles possibility, not possession, and that its emptiness is its gift. I kneel in the center of the stone floor, letting the warmth seep through my robes and into my bones. With closed eyes, I press my palms to the ground, sensing the subtle vibration of the way coursing beneath the stones. Here, in this stillness, I encounter the truest offering I possess, the openness of my heart. Memories rise unbidden, moments of grace and grief, of laughter shared and tears shed, of kindnesses given and received. Each fragment swirls in the hush, weaving a tapestry of longing and fulfillment. I feel the pulse of connection that ties me to every soul I have loved, every stranger who became companion for a single breath. In this chamber of light, I understand that the way has led me to the threshold of my own heart. I rise and open my arms, as if embracing the invisible guests whose faces linger in memory. The light responds, shifting into soft ribbons that trace the curve of my shoulders and the line of my outstretched palms. It is not magic of stone or spirit, but the simple truth that where the heart goes, light follows. I step forward, each footfall leaving a faint glow that lingers before fading, marking my passage with remembrance. Turning, I walk the perimeter of the room, touching the walls with reverence. My fingertips encounter the warmth of intention, the cool invitation of unmade possibility. Each panel of wood, though seamless to the eye, feels alive, pulsing with the latent energy of stories yet to be told. I murmur blessings to these silent witnesses, offering gratitude for their quiet guardianship. At the far end of the chamber, I discover a low bench hewn from the same living grain as the door. I settle onto it, folding my legs beneath me. The bench's surface is curved to cradle the body, and I lean back, letting its embrace coax my breathing into calm. From this vantage, the room appears as a womb of light, an intimate sanctuary that holds only what I bring. The way has not delivered riches or acclaim, but a sacred space for transformation. I place my hand upon my chest, feeling the rhythm of my own pulse, and with the other, draw the gentle rays of light around me, gathering them into a tapestry of warmth that rests against my skin. In this simple act of merging inner and outer light, I feel my heart open wider than ever before. The chamber's emptiness dissolves into plenitude, the fullness of self, the infinite dance of giving and receiving, the unspoken promise that every step forward is an offering to the world. Time drifts away in this luminous hush. The world outside, the dust-laden roads, the trials endured, the friends met and lost, fades to a distant echo. Here, there is only this moment, a silent symphony of breath and light and the steady beating of my own heart. And in this stillness, I hear the whisper that began my pilgrimage so long ago, begin. I smile, for now I know the journey's deepest truth, that every step has led me here, to the offering of an open heart, and that this place between doors is both destination and departure. I rise once more, gathering the light within me as though into a cloak, and step toward the wooden door through which I entered. My hand falls upon its surface, and the door swings outward, returning me to the world beyond. But I carry with me the chamber's gift, the luminous pulse of an open heart, an endless beginning upon which the rest of the way will be woven. As dawn's first light spills across the horizon, I step through the threshold of that luminous chamber, feeling the echo of its gift settle softly into my bones. The world beyond awaits, not as a finish line but as an ever-unfolding horizon, alive with possibility. My feet touch the dew-kissed grass, and in that gentle sensation I perceive the truth. The way neither begins nor ends but renews itself with each step I take. What was before was merely preparation. Now, at this endless beginning, I stand both pilgrim and pathmaker. I raise my eyes to the sky, where clouds drift like thoughts across the vast canvas of morning. Each cloud shifts and dissolves, birthing new shapes in perpetual metamorphosis. I understand that my journey too is a living tapestry, woven moment by the choices I make and the openness I carry within. The air is cool and fragrant with wildflowers, their petals dripping dew like tears of joy, as though the earth itself celebrates the rebirth of my spirit. As I walk forward, the ribbon of pebbles, once so finite and clear, now dissolves into the grassy earth. In its place, a murmuring trail of light threads beneath my feet, each step illuminating the ground for only an instant before fading into the green. It is as if the way itself dissolves behind me, leaving no trace but the living breath of my passage. And yet, at the edge of my vision, new threads shimmer into being, guided by the intentions I plant with every footfall. To walk is to create, and to create is to walk, an infinite dance of emergence. I breathe deeply, tasting the sweetness of this boundless moment, and sense the dance of wind through the leaves as a chorus of welcome. Branches sway overhead, each leaf trembling with recognition that the way is no longer a distant concept but the very pulse of life beneath my soles. I stretch my arms wide, palms turned skyward, and catch a breath of wind that ripples through me like a living hymn. In this embrace, I become both seeker and offering, both question and answer. Ahead, the terrain shifts to a gentle slope dotted with ancient oak and cypress, their trunks engraved by centuries of seasons. I step beneath their grafted limbs, feeling the cool cathedral of living wood arch above me. Sunbeams pierce the canopy in scattered shafts of gold, illuminating motes of dust that drift like tiny stars. In that dappled light, I recall every step that brought me here, the whisper at dawn, the first footfall, the companion of doubt, the thirsty trial, the mirror of longing, the dance of obstacles, the gift of solitude, the trial of shadows, and the offering of the heart. Each was a seed sown in the soil of my being, and now they bloom in this sacred grove of renewal. A gentle path curves among the trees, and I follow it until I reach a clearing where wild grasses sway in rhythmic waves. At its center stands a simple stone well, its rim moss-clad and its depths lost in shadow. The well's presence feels ancient and wise, as though it has witnessed countless pilgrims drinking deeply of life's own water. I kneel at its edge, peering into the dark aperture, and feel my reflection swim on the surface below, a face luminous with the promise of becoming. I draw a breath of reverence and whisper, "Here and now, I begin anew." I lower a cup fashioned from fallen oak and let it descend into the well's cool darkness. When I draw it up, the water inside glows with a subtle inner light, rippling with currents of possibility. I drink slowly, savoring each drop as it nourishes my bones and stirs the wellsprings of courage within my heart. The water tastes of dawn's first promise, of wind-swept plains and rain-soaked earth, of tears and laughter mingled like sacred wine. When the cup is empty, I pour the remaining drops onto the grass, blessing the land that cradles every beginning. Rising, I leave the well behind and set my gaze upon distant hills where mist pools like liquid silver. The path ascends toward them in gentle switchbacks, and I begin to climb, each step buoyed by the lightness that comes from knowing I carry the way within. My heart hums with the music of creation, the steady rhythm of breath, the song of wind, the whisper of leaves, each note a reminder that every moment is both destination and departure. As I climb, stones underfoot glow faintly in response to my passage, mapping out a route not predetermined but born of my forward motion. I understand that the way unfolds not in spite of uncertainty but because of it, for only in the open field of not knowing can the soul discover its infinite capacity to begin. The higher I rise, the more expansive the panorama becomes, valleys of green and gold, rivers shining like molten glass, forests breathing in patterns of wind and cloud. At the crest of the hill, I pause and turn, seeing the path I have walked stretch behind me into a tapestry of memory, the glinting spring in the noonday heat, the silent bench beneath the fig tree, the lantern of doubt held at my side, the hidden alcove in the tangle of vines, the starlit meadow of solitude, the arch carved by raging storm, the empty chamber of the heart. All converge in this single panorama of becoming, the way's sacred proof that the journey shapes the traveler as much as the traveler shapes the journey. I close my eyes and offer gratitude to every lesson, to every stone, every breath, every heartbeat that guided me here. And then I open them to the horizon, where sky and earth meld in the promise of endless beginnings. With lifted chin and steady breath, I step onward, knowing that the way appears anew with each stride, that every moment is a threshold, and that to walk is to create a path of light in the living world. And so I walk, ever walking, trusting that as I start to walk on the way will appear, again and again, unendingly, in the infinite dance of becoming.